Hi guys, thanks for joining me again for another lesson. What we're going to look at in this video is the major scale. We're basically going to look at how to play it, how to construct it, and where to find it on the guitar neck. Now, the reason why I'm going straight in with the major scale is because everything else that you do on the guitar, or in music generally, all starts life there. The major scale is the foundation, the building blocks of everything. Everything else you play is a modification of the major scale. Okay? So I want you to get used to it. I want you to understand it. And the other thing that we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to just introduce a little bit of music theory and a little bit about where to find things on the guitar neck. Okay, so there's a worksheet that goes with this lesson. You'll find it in the link below the video. Download it, have a look at it, see if you can understand it. If not, return to the video. And obviously watch the video anyway, because it's going to get you playing this scale and get you into the scale, understanding it. Okay, so basically the major scale is a series of notes. Okay, now in music we've got intervals, musical intervals. Now the only intervals that I really want you to think about are what are known as a tone and a semitone. Now a tone is basically represented by a distance of 2 frets on the guitar. So if I was to play the A at the 5th string of the E string, my B is 2 frets away at the 7th string. Okay? Now, something that I want you to try and bear in mind and remember if you can is that there are 2 notes, or 4 notes, that are only separated by a semitone. A semitone being half of a tone. So that's 1 fret on the guitar. Now those notes are B and C and E and F. Now if you can remember B and C and E and F are next to each other, then you can find all the notes on the guitar neck. Now just to show you that as an example, if we take the open E string and play it, okay, now given what I've just said, that B and C and E and F are the only ones that are a semitone apart, or 1 fret apart, I know that my F is at the 1st fret of the E string because E and F are 1 fret or a semitone apart. Okay, so if I play the E, 1st fret is the F. F to G is a tone. 3rd fret is my G. Okay, G to A is another tone. 5th fret. A to B, another tone. 7th fret. B to C is a semitone. So I just go 1 fret. B at the 7th. C at the 8th. Which puts D at the 10th. And at the 12th fret, I get another E. Because at the 12th fret of the guitar, all the open notes repeat, but they are an octave higher. Okay, we'll go into what an octave means in another lesson. We're not going to do that now. But basically, 12th fret, everything repeats. So up at the 12th fret, on the E string, I get another E. On the A string, another A. On the D string, another D. On the G string, another G. At the B string, another B. And at the E string, another E. Okay, so the notes all repeat. So bear that in mind. So given that we've just gone through that, given that I've just told you that B and C and E and F are a semitone apart and that you're going to remember that, let's look at the major scale. Now we're going to approach the major scale by thinking of it in terms of tones and semitones. Okay, every note relative to the note that came before it. So the code for the major scale in tones and semitones is this. From the root note, which is the first note in the scale, so if I was in E, it would be my E. The intervals are tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Okay, so if you want to think of that as frets, it's 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, 2 frets, 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret. And you'll end up back at your root note, but an octave higher. Now, the reason it's an octave is because this is a 7-note scale. So when you play the 8th note, you're back at your root. In this case, it would be E. Okay? So that's why it's called an octave. Oct, 8. 8 notes above in a 7-note scale. Okay? Now, let's take that code and together we'll apply it. Okay? So basically what you're going to do is you're going to start with an open E string. And you're going to play the open E. Okay? Now you're going to play a tone away from that. 2 frets, 2nd fret. Now you're going to play a tone away from that. 2 frets, 4th fret. Now we're going a semitone, which is 1 fret. A tone. A tone. A tone. And a semitone. Now that is an E major scale. You're basically playing Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. Everybody knows that? Well, I think everybody knows that, maybe not. But basically that's what you're playing. So, I'm going to play it again in E, and you can play along with me. So we're going to start with that open E, 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, 2 frets, 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret. E major. Now, for every major scale that you play, that's the code you're going to use. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. That's the code. Try and remember it. At the minute, we're only going up 1 string. Eventually, you'll get used to being able to play that code across the neck and up and down the neck. So it's good to remember it. Okay, now what we're going to do now is we're going to take that code and we're going to play another scale. So straight away, well, I've got an open A string, sorry, on the 5th string. So let's play an A major. So open A, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. There we go. Back at A. So there's 2 scales you can play already. E major and A major. And all you've had to do is learn 1 code. Okay, so let's do the same again. Let's play in D. Okay, so open D. 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, 2 frets, 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret. Now let's do it in tones and semitones. Okay? open D string, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. There's your code. Now then, you can play that on the other strings. So you can play a G major, you can play a B major, and you can play another E major. Okay, so you've actually got access to 5 scales there, just off of the open string, just by learning the code. Now, this code works for any major scale. So as long as you know where your root note is, and you remember the tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone code, you can play any scale. Now, let's just demonstrate that by basically looking at playing it off of a different note. So what we're going to do, we're going to play from the 3rd fret of the A string, which is the note C. So we're going to play a C major scale. So start by playing the C note, 3rd fret of the A string. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. C major. Okay, let's take the same principle. Let's play off of the 3rd fret of the E string, which is the note G. So start with that G note at the 3rd fret. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, G major. So anywhere you start from on the neck of the guitar, as long as you apply that code, you will be playing the major scale. So basically that gives you access to all 12 major scales. Sharp scales, flat scales, natural scales, all 12 that exist you can play going straight up the guitar neck using that code. Now, you may not think, well, I don't want to be a shred guitarist, I don't want to play licks, I just want to play my chords. Now, the really, really important thing about this scale is that this scale allows you to find all the chords that exist in a particular key. A key being, if I was playing with a root note of E, I would be playing in the key of E major. Now, I can build a chord off of every one of the notes in that scale. So if I know where to find the notes in the scale, I can build all the chords that exist and I can harmonise the scale with chords. Okay, we're not going to go into any more detail on that today, but I'm just trying to illustrate the importance of knowing the code and being able to find the notes that exist in a scale. Okay, so try and memorize the code. Mess about with the scale, move it up and down the neck, start from different roots. Hear that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, try and hear that. Try and hear the intervals between the notes. Okay, that tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone pattern that exists. Okay, it's really going to help you in the long run, whether you want to shred or not. Knowing where to find the major scale or the notes within that scale is going to be great for you. Okay, so I'm going to show you some just a little thing you can do with that scale, so you can actually start to do something musical with it. Now, we're going to do this in E, and quite simply, what we're going to do is we're going to pick the open E string. Okay, now then, at the 7th fret of the A string, I have another E. Okay, 2 notes, they're the same notes. Okay, they're both E. Now, interestingly, I just played that at the 9th fret, which isn't E at all. There we go. There's our E. Much better. Sounds like an E this time. For a minute I thought my guitar was out of tune, but I played it in the wrong place. So 7th fret of the A string is another E. So if I start at that 7th fret and play root, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, I get an E major scale. Okay? Another E major scale. It's an octave higher. I'm starting in the octave. Okay? So what I can do, and I'm going to do this just using 4 notes. Okay? I am going to pick the E string and I am going to work through the first 4 notes of that scale. Like this. Okay, so I get a nice little melody going underneath this E string. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be really easy to start with. It might not be, because you've got to pick the E string and the A string at the same time and think about where your fingers are going. But it's a great little exercise to start hearing that scale musically and hearing how it sounds against its root note. And what you're actually hearing are the intervals against the root. So you're starting to develop your ear as a musician by doing this. Now you can do this in, you can do it in E, as we've just done. You can do it in A, because at the 7th fret of the D string, we have the note A. Okay? Now the fact that I did play that at the 7th string that time, at the 7th fret that time, actually meant that it was an A. Okay? So we can do the same thing. I'm just going to take the first 4 notes. And I'm moving around them I'm just sliding my finger, I'm using 1 finger. Okay, so this is not complicated. We've not got to have a lot of dexterity and a huge amount of control over our left hand. We're just moving up that scale and getting used to the tone, tone, semitone intervals. Okay, so I'm going to play that exactly the same way, starting with my A root, and then let's just play the notes underneath it. Okay. You can also do it in D, exactly the same principle, because on the G string at the 7th fret you have a D. Okay. You can't go any lower down on the strings because of the way the tuning is. We have to move it. So we're not going to talk about anything being moved, but you can kind of practice that and work around that in E, A and D. Okay, now other things you can do, you can strum those 2 notes and then move the scale underneath it. So if I just strum the E string and the A string, okay, and now I'll move through the scale. Okay, now that's a little more difficult because you're trying to target 2 strings with your pick. Okay, so if you can't do that, don't worry, just get used to hearing. What the scale sounds like against its root note in E, A and D. It'll make you sound musical. It will make it sound a little bit more than just a scale being played. It sounds very nice, and it's not simple, but it's not overly complicated. And seriously, it will make you sound as if you can play straight away, because you're making a melody line underneath a root note. Okay, so there's the major scale. We'll recap on it very quickly. You've got the worksheets, download the worksheets, put them in a folder, work through them. That code is starting from the root, root, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Okay, now you can play that, as I've said, off of any root. So you can find a note, and as long as you know the code, you can play it. So you've got all 12 major scales. Okay, so have fun with that, enjoy it, just try moving it around the neck. Just enjoy it. Just get used to it, understand what it sounds like, and enjoy playing. Okay, so thanks for watching this one. I'll catch you on the next lesson. Have fun. See you later. Cheers.